For those of you watching this, you're going to be wondering, how do you make abductions stop? And is there any freedom from these abductions? And I just want to share a few things with you that have helped me over the years. Not necessarily to stop the abductions. I don't know how to do that, not yet anyway. But how to make yourself strong and how to arm yourself with the self-awareness and the knowledge that ultimately it can help us to continue to live fulfilling lives. So a few years ago I started keeping a journal and writing all of my experiences. This included the dates, the times I remember, any cycles, any patterns, and just putting together all this information so that I could build a picture in my mind. And there was a point when I could identify when there might be an abduction coming, according to certain times in a month when they used to come regularly. So finding these patterns they're really important to help us to understand why they might be coming in the first place. The second thing is recognizing the signs. Often before an abduction there are signs that they might be coming. For me, these signs manifest as feeling anxious, uneasy, restless. I often feel quite watched in maybe 3 days before they plan to actually come and visit. Alongside this, I've also noticed that I see reoccurring number sequences. So every time I look at a clock, or I look at my phone, or I look at any kind of electronic device, there are reoccurring numbers: 1111, 1212, 3333. All the numbers keep lining up, and I see this in the days leading up to an abduction, and it increases the closer it gets to an abduction, is what I've noticed. It's really important to listen to these signs that our bodies are giving us. It's what I call body talk. This fear and this anxiety that we can't quite put our finger on is often our body picking up on the cues around it that something's not right, and this is like an inherent mechanism within ourselves that alerts us to danger. And I feel it's really important to honour these feelings, because they can protect us, or they can bring things to our awareness that something's not right. Another thing that I found has helped me over the years is meditation and developing self-awareness. Now, I feel that really engaging with this self-awareness and some kind of internal development is really important, because I've noticed that the intervention use not only our weaknesses, but they use our strengths as well. I found practices such as prayer and stillness meditation are really fortifying for the mind. They just help me to feel really centered and to be able to look at things very clearly. I've also become aware of future abductions that will be coming up, and this has been really instrumental in enabling me to prepare myself and possibly find ways to resist these abductions. And one of the ways that I've been practicing, and I really only practice this now when I feel that there is imminent danger or an imminent abduction, is practicing a second sleep routine, which is where I go to bed early, say 8 o'clock in the evening. I sleep for 4 hours and I wake up around midnight and spend a couple of hours awake during the night, and then go back to sleep perhaps around 3 o'clock in the morning and sleep for another few hours. I found that I can't really do this for a long period of time. Having disrupted sleep is something that doesn't work very well for me, but I do this if I really feel that I need to stop an abduction from happening, or I feel that I'm in danger from it. And really this is just like a short-term protection. However, if this is something that might work for you, then I've found that it has been successful on more than a few occasions. I want to talk more about protecting the mind, and one of those ways is non-engagement. Now, when a woman leaves or a man leaves domestic abuse, one of the things that they are taught is that you completely disengage from the abuser. You have no contact with them whatsoever. It's very similar with abduction in that before, after, and at any point in between, the intervention can be there to influence the mind. One of the ways of doing this is by sending telepathic images, impressions, and all kinds of influence. And we have the choice not to respond to that. And I find that by not engaging and not responding, by completely ignoring them, they will eventually withdraw and go away. They will realise that they're not going to be able to influence your mind, and they're not going to be able to get a reaction out of you that they would prefer. I found this offers quite a lot of mental relief. I've also found self-honesty is really, really valuable. Just looking at into yourself and asking how you really feel about something. You know, there are a lot of areas in an abductee's life where the influence really spreads into it, and it really integrates in quite a big way. And sometimes this can lead us to feel really sure and certain about things that really aren't true, that really don't mirror how we actually feel, and it can mask our ability to know what's good for us. And just sitting there and acknowledging how you really feel about something. If you have this restraint or this niggling inside of you that something's not right, it probably isn't right. And oftentimes we know what we need to do for ourselves, and sometimes that is just listening to a gut instinct. So cultivating this self-awareness really is important for us to take the power out of their hands and put it back into us, where it really needs to be. The last point I really want to cover, and I really feel that this is important, is about connecting with others. It's the intervention's intention that abductees be isolated from one another, and creating this isolation through depression and anxiety, and maybe you have this inclination to move somewhere that's really quite isolated. Perhaps you find it hard to hold your job down. Perhaps you find yourself withdrawing from friendships and family. This isn't always healthy. We really need to be around people. We really need people who we trust around us. So connecting with other abductees is really important, because we have an understanding for each other, which people who don't have abductions don't know. They don't understand what it's like necessarily to live with this intrusion in their lives, and they don't necessarily understand the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual ramifications that it has on our lives. I found that being part of abductee support groups is really quite strengthening. If you can find a support group online or in your local area, then I really encourage you to do so, because it's so important that we're not alone and that we don't become isolated. We really need to stay strong, and we need to remember that we do have sovereign rights. This is a crime that they're committing, and we need to become strong together. And this is really important. Please don't be alone.